So that's what we're really doing on consultancies. It's, yeah?
Do you kind of do the target market research over, like for yourself?
Yeah, I mean, so the question is, do I do the target research myself? I do, because I usually do it before I pitch the company. And that's when I really feel like it's a proper pitch, because you're going in there for these contracts are big. Like my consultancy contracts are usually 6 figures or more. So they want to know that you know your crap. Like you should really know what you're talking about. And the great thing is you can get a lot of information, you can work with schools to have them like do demographic research and market research, like as a project. So there's good resources to find. And you also do your own research. I started looking at who of my friends wore this denim company. I started the easy way. And I started to really quickly see the women that responded to it. And I mean, one friend of mine had over 20 pairs of their jeans. And I was like, oh. I was like, they have fans, right? Like it's a whole nother level of denim fan that I didn't know about. And so I started to realize like all the different cuts and stuff were really important to this girl. And so she bought, it was like baseball cards or something. Like she collected them, And then she, my friend was a certain age, so I was like, oh, okay. And not to just single her out, and I just started looking and asking around. I was like, oh, what do you know about this denim company? Do you buy it? Blah, blah, blah. And then I'd also go to Barney's or someplace like that. Like this particular denim company was at Barney's. And I go to Barney's and I talk to the salespeople and say, because it's worth it to do that homework for a 6-figure consultancy. Totally worth it. And then I looked at, like after I kind of did an evaluation of where I thought the brand was and like where they needed help, then I would start to think about what I would do for them. Like how would I help them? Like what inspiration would I bring to the table? What fashion inspiration would I bring to the table? What cultural inspiration would I bring to the table? What collaborations I would bring to the table? Because the fun thing about like a lot of these consultancies, if it's not a high fashion brand, but even with a high fashion brand, you can bring other artists in to collaborate with them, and it's like part of your deal. And it's so much fun. You can bring in some of your favorite people. I was doing a consultancy with this really big company, and it was so much fun because I got to bring in my favorite designers, like 5 of my favorite designers. I got to bring in the most amazing art directors. It's Fabian Barron, Doug Lloyd, and Lee Swillingham. And they're the 3 of the most powerful art directors, and of course they control all the money in our business too. So for me to bring them in on this big project, they were like, holy cow, like thanks Sally so much. So like suddenly they're in debt to me, which we like. But, but at the same time, I was just thrilled to be working with them. I was just so happy to be bringing them in on this project for this more mass market company who, I mean, usually these mass market companies, when they come to us, with high fashion, it's different. And those are the consultancies that you're vying for the top consultancies. Like there's probably 5 to 10 of them. You're fighting against the best in the world. And you have to be the best in the world to be in that competition. Like it's no joke. For me, I'm starting to compete with them, but they have 15 to 20 years education, experience, knowledge more than I do on their side. And that's what I'm learning too. It's part of the reason I'm doing this, so I can learn more about it and talk to you guys and figure out how to make my practices better and learn more and where do I need to learn. So when you're working back to the mass market, when you're working with the mass market consultancies, which is the first step up from commercial jobs when you start to get them, they usually want stylists because we make them cool. We can make them cooler. We build their public identity, but it's not really public. We build their fashion identity. We can bring them respect inside the fashion world. And how do we do that by bringing in the relevant photographers. We do it by bringing in relevant collaborators like artists or designers or art directors or whoever, that's why our teams are so important, and we'll have the team conversation tomorrow. But we bring in the best casting directors who then bring in supermodels. And suddenly, people, I've done it with 4 companies now. I've had about 4 consultancies. And again, their sales went through the roof. But a lot of these people, they didn't care about the sales. They care about their PR, their fashion PR. And their fashion PR, people were like, what is that company doing? Who did they hire? Because everything's changed and it looks great. And not to like toot my own horn, but it's like, that's what we're there to do. And nobody even knows I'm doing it. I don't care if people know I'm doing it. All I want to do is be able to create the results for my clients.